a 6 a.m. workout in summer becomes a test of resilience in winter. Hello and welcome back to Traffic Talks. My name is Pyro and I hope you are doing well. Today's episode is very fun for me to do because it's something new for me, considering I just decided on a new acronym I'm going to be using for end of month reflections, and I thought I'd share that in this episode because it's something I'm doing the day this episode is going live. Is the 1st of May, which is not only a public holiday in South Africa but also a friend's birthday. But I'll get into that in a moment. So the end of the month is always a brilliant time for reflection, and especially if you have goals set for the year and you've kind of forgotten about them, now's the time to check in on them. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's get into my little shout out before we go any further. To my bestie in China, happy birthday. I hope you listen to this on your birthday and enjoy this special little shout out because we've been talking. You know this. It's cool. I'll keep that offline. Happy birthday. I'm so excited for this. And it's also so cool to have your birthday on the 1st of a month because it's not only the 1st of the month, it's like the first day of your new life or new year. So that's always fun. But on to the actual episode. Today's acronym is R.E.S.C.U.E because sometimes we just need to rescue ourselves from the slog we've been going through and what we feel is just like torture at the moment to get through. So this acronym is perfect, especially because it's such a simple one to remember, especially with it being, if you follow any quarterly goal system, April would have been the first month of Q2 or quarter 2. So the beginning of May is the middle month of that quarter, which is like, oh, really need to reflect on those goals. So it's always a brilliant thing to do at the end of the month or the start of a new month, no matter when you are listening to this. It's always a good idea, and that I think is always important because the more you check in and reflect on what's actually going on in your life, the more structure you can get. And as we know over the last few weeks, structure has been non-existent. So let's jump straight into the first letter of the acronym, R. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know that horse is coming back once again, called reflection. Yes. Reflection is back. Because what you need to do first is take time to look back on this past month, not only to understand what went wrong or where you lacked, but also to check what worked well for you, what is new, what you incorporated, and any good and not so good things that happened in this past month. For me, everything was up in the air, from a surprise flight to PE that I had to take all of a sudden, to an uncle passing away while I was away and having to come back and do the memorial, the funeral, having the public holidays and all the long weekends just throw everything out of whack. It's a lot. And something small that you maybe incorporated or started to incorporate can honestly be a highlight. For me, I know that prioritizing my workouts and eating better despite being on the go, despite having things crop up at the last second, despite things throwing out entire days multiple times back to back, week after week, that is a consistent thing I did, which is something I need to be proud of and something I need to focus on maintaining strictly in next month. So those kinds of things are important to note, and especially where there are things that aren't going to be happening in the same month. Like next month, there's not going to be a surprise funeral. Next month, there isn't going to be a surprise flight. Those are good things. But as I said a couple weeks ago, being prepared for the unpredictable is something I'm working on. And there were certain things I had in place that I had done before then that allowed me to do those things. Cryptic and weird, I know, I'm sorry. But basically, being prepared for any event takes time, and taking time to be prepared is always a good thing. So that's something I'm working on. Whatever it is for you, write it down, take note of it, and lock in to that information, okay? The next step is evaluation, the E of the acronym. This means evaluate this data you just took and analyze it in terms of your life. Do you need to get rid of some of these things? Were they negative towards you? Were they actually holding you back from your goals? Because I know for myself, I did not get to a lot of my goals because of the hectic rat race lifestyle this past month has been. But I do know I could have done more with what little free time I did have. So that is something I do understand, and I know I can work on. Like I said, the month is not going to be the same as last, I will have more time management and be able to do things better, which is an important point I'd like to make here. Do not be too harsh on yourself for the things you didn't get to do, because for me, I know myself very well, and I know I wasted a lot of my time when I could have been doing something to move me further towards some of my goals that I did want completed. So that's me. I understand. I'm okay with that. But not every month is going to have the same situations, meaning you can work better with what you have. However, if you are the problem, you need to work on yourself. That's just facts. Reworking these kinds of things in a new month, and maybe even looking at your goals and revising your timelines, maybe adding a deadline, those types of things can help you better schedule your time, your free time, your plans. Sometimes taking a goal off the table just for a month or so might just free up some time and space, even mentally, just to get the more urgent goals in progress or completely ticked off a list, especially with the seasons changing. These are things we forget to take into consideration. So evaluating everything going on around you is going to make the big difference, but also how you relate to that situation. With me, being prepared and doing certain things in advance is best. If I had done the podcast in advance, it wouldn't have been late. That's on me. If I hadn't wasted my time, it probably could have been done. That again is on me. But now, next month, I'm not going to have to sit on a random flight. I'm not going to have to drive all day to get back home. I will have more time to do things, okay? I could have used that drive home to write like 10 scripts, but I didn't. That's on me. Knowing this, I can make things better, and that's great. So evaluate what you need to do and what has been done and how you can improve things, because once again, this information is crucial, okay? The next two letters kind of work in tandem, and that is the S and the C of the word rescue, because they form the duo or duality of good and bad, which is sad and celebrate. The S, sad, and the C, celebrate, which is be sad and upset and mourn the things you didn't get done, but celebrate even the smallest achievement you made, okay? And I mean this by if you are even just sitting by yourself and going through these notes, sitting there, patting yourself on the back, literally having a mirror maybe in front of you and being like, you did good. You did a good job. Well done. Or if it's something you didn't get to, telling yourself, look, it's okay. We can try and do better next month. We've seen where we've fallen off the wagon. We can change the trajectory of this and do better. Like, we got this. It's gonna be okay. Like, do what you need to do to understand you didn't do so great. You can always try again. Or as I said in the previous point, take things off the board because you're just maybe not getting there, and that is a celebration, if I do say so myself, because you realizing what you can fit onto your plate and what you cannot is exceptional. So that is what you need to do. The next letter in the acronym is U, which is for utilize, okay? And this means utilize your time. Make the most and best possible schedule for you, because you're the only one who's going to adhere to it. okay? Some people prefer to time block their days and that works for them. Other people like to micromanage their schedule and plan every single second of their day. Some people like to use a hybrid method. Some people like to do a routine block method, which is similar to time block, but you block off these hours for morning routine, these hours for work. Within that, you'll maybe have a mental focused work, creative work, something like that, just to separate what kind of work you do based on your brain flow and function. There's all sorts of research. We're not diving into that now. We might do a podcast episode later. I have no idea. We'll see. So definitely let me know if you are interested in that. But yeah, everyone works in different ways. Figure out what works best for you. And with this beginning of the new month, definitely maybe try something different if you have felt you are struggling a bit with the current system you are using. Or if you don't have a method, choose one of these or Google them and try them. See what works best for you. Because the beauty of this is you can take different pieces and build your own schedule in order to use your time in the best way for you. Because some people who have kids are going to look very differently at their schedule compared to people who don't have kids. Like, it's just a fact of life. If you have a dog versus if you have a cat, you're not going to put the cat on a leash and take it for a walk. A dog you will twice a day. So what works for you might not work for someone else, and that's okay. But once again, I encourage you to not only look at you, your lifestyle, and your situation at home, but also to understand the seasonal changes we are going through now. Because a 6 a.m. workout in summer becomes a test of resilience in winter. Okay, it's going to test your patience, your determination, your everything. So just keep that in mind when you do this, especially we're going into the colder months. Would you really want to do that in the morning? Or would you rather maybe take that time, swap it around, do your workout in the evening or afternoon if you can, and focus on brain work in the morning, whereas you usually maybe study at night or read at night. Try different things, see what works best for you. The E in rescue is the ending. Sounds weird, I know, but just bear with me, okay? With this, we look at our goals. Why? When you look at a goal, you start with the end in mind and you work backwards. That is basically what you are going to do. Not just look at the goals you set for the month or for the quarter, but you are going to look at your overall goals. If you do a 1-3-5, you maybe want to look at those, which is 1 year goals, 3 year goals, 5 year goals. See how you are doing. Check your overall plans for your 12-week year, because obviously you'll have overarching goals and then have separated those into 12-week goals. Yearly goals you'll split into 4, which are quarterly goals. Whichever way you set goals, not my business. The only thing I'm asking you to do is check what those overall overarching goals were for whatever time period you decided on, and see what needs to be done and how you are doing, and if you are still in alignment with it. Because we forget sometimes maybe we don't want to continue with this goal, okay? And you're probably asking yourself, but why are we doing this again? We've already reworked our goals previously. We've already checked them over for the month and the quarter and the things. Yes, those are short-term goals, but understand that you want to make plans with knowledge and information at your disposal, okay? You can change things up for the month and that's great, but if you are taking baby steps in the wrong direction, you're not going to end up where you want to go. These are the baby steps we are looking at, but don't forget there's a longer destination in mind. You need to focus on that. Besides, if you actually look at the big picture, it might just re-spark some motivation. It might put a new idea into your head that makes you completely pivot on one single goal that's going to change the trajectory of all the quarters going forward for the rest of the year. It is something you definitely need to do, which is why I say it's a good thing to reflect on everything every single month. But at the beginning of this session, you can say we do look at just the past month in particular. As I said, it's just information, it's just data on yourself that you can use going forward. So that's how to rescue your month to prepare you for the new one. Now that you've done all the steps, we weren't done. I can talk for days. Don't even think. Just listen, okay? now that you've done all these steps, I want you to take a moment to think about things that can affect you and your lifestyle. So your habits, your routines, outside influences like the seasons, the public holidays, the school holidays, things like that, and incorporate that into your monthly plan and calendar and schedule, and make notes on things like this. Because guess what? People also have birthdays, people also have anniversaries, people also have things going on in their life that we tend to forget to even think about. Okay? And those are things that crop up, throw you out, and can actually annoy you, but it's always a fun thing. So if someone offers something, go for it. But definitely make sure to look at things very zoomed in, like for the month, and then also very zoomed out for like the overall plan. Having a holistic approach to setting your goals and to reflecting on your month is something we tend to forget to do, especially when we don't look back and see the small pleasures that we did have in a past month that just made our day. So rescue your month so that the next one will be better. Okay? And just a bonus tip, do a weekly reflection if you can, especially if you can schedule it and do it every single week. Because if I had been doing just a little bit more reflection, I can tell you right now, I would have clocked my time wasting habit so much faster than what I did, and I would have been so much further with my goals than I am at this point in time, which is abysmal. So we're not going to talk about that, but yeah, I know, blind leading the deaf. Shh, just listen. It's okay. I hope this episode helped and that you can actually use it going forward whenever you listen to it. I am so glad I'm actually back in the rhythm of podcasting. This past month has just thrown me out so badly, and I'm feeling much better after not only doing my own reflections in preparation for this episode, but just planning ahead for the podcast and things. So it's been really, really fun, because what I've seen is when you put in the work, you actually get a very good result. Which brings me to my song of the week, which is Work by Iggy Azalea. It is a classic for a reason, and I particularly love the song for its few minutes that it is an entire song. It's such a deep song in terms of explaining her life, where she comes from, how hard she's worked to get what she did, where she is. It's just chef's kiss. It's a masterpiece of a song. So please go and listen to it. As always, we'll leave it linked below. So take your time to listen to it. And that is my 2 cents. I hope you enjoyed this mammoth episode, and I will see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.